Nico looked up at the Furies and took a deep breath. "I've done what my father asked. Take us to the palace." I tensed. "Wait a second, Nico. What do you—" "I'm afraid this is my new lead, Percy. My father promised me information about my family, but he wants to see you before we try the river. I'm sorry." "You tricked me!" I was so mad I couldn't think. I lunged at him, but the Furies were fast. Two of them swooped down and plucked me by the arms. My sword fell out of my hand, and before I knew it, I was dangling 60 feet in the air. "Oh, don't struggle, honey," my old math teacher cackled in my ear. "I'd hate to drop you." Miss O'Leary barked angrily and jumped, trying to reach me, but we were too high. "Tell Miss O'Leary to behave," Nico warned. He was hovering near me in the clutches of the third Fury. "I don't want her to get hurt, Percy. My father is waiting. He just wants to talk." I wanted to tell Miss O'Leary to attack Nico, but it wouldn't have done any good. And Nico was right about one thing. My dog could get hurt if she tried to pick a fight with the Furies. I gritted my teeth. "Miss O'Leary, down! It's okay, girl." She whimpered and turned in circles, looking up at me. "All right, traitor," I growled at Nico. "You got your prize. Take me to the stupid palace." Electro dropped me like a sack of turnips in the middle of the palace garden. It was a beautiful in a creepy way. Skeletal white trees grew from the marble basins. Flower beds overflowed with golden plants and gemstones. A pair of thrones, one bone and one silver, sat in the balcony in view of the fields of Citadel. It would have been a nice place to spend a Saturday morning, except for the sulphurous smell and the cries of the tortured souls in the distance. Skeletal warriors guarded the only exit. They wore tattered U.S. Army desert camouflage fatigues and carried M16s. The third Fury deposited Nico next to me. Then all three of them settled on the top of the skeletal throne. I resisted the urge to strangle Nico. They'd only stop me. I'd have to wait for my revenge. I stared at the empty thrones, waiting for something to happen. Then the air shimmered. 3 figures appeared. Hades and Persephone on the thrones, and an older woman standing between them. They seemed to be in the middle of an argument. "Told you it was a bum," the older woman said. "Mother," Persephone replied. "We have visitors," Hades barked. "Please." Hades, one of my least favorite gods, smoothed his black robes, which were covered with terrible faces of the damned. He had pale skin and the intense eyes of a madman. "Percy Jackson," he said with satisfaction. "At last." Queen Persephone studied me curiously. I'd seen her once before in the winter, but now in the summer, she looked like a totally different goddess. She had lustrous black hair and warm brown eyes. Her dress shimmered with colors. Flower patterns in the fabric changed and bloomed. Roses, tulips, honeysuckles. The woman standing between them was obviously Persephone's mother. She had the same hair and eyes, but looked older and sterner. Her dress was golden, the color of a wheat field. Her hair was woven with dried grasses, so it reminded me of a wicker basket. I figured if somebody lit a match next to her, she'd be in serious trouble. "Humph," the old woman said. "Demigods, just what we need." Next to me, Nico knelt. I wished I had my sword so I could cut his stupid head off. Unfortunately, Riptide was still out in the field somewhere. "Father," Nico said, "I've done what you asked." "It took long enough," Hades grumbled. "Your sister would have done a better job." Nico lowered his head. If I hadn't been so mad at the little creep, I might have felt sorry for him. I glared up at the god of dead. "What do you want, Hades?" "To talk, of course." The god twisted his mouth into a cruel smile. "Didn't Nico tell you?" "So this whole quest was a lie? Nico brought me down here to get me killed?" "Oh no," Hades said. "I'm afraid Nico was quite sincere about wanting to help you. The boy is as honest as he is dense. I simply convinced him to take a small detour and bring you here first." "Father," Nico said, "you promised that Percy would not be harmed. You said if I brought him, you would tell me about my past, about my mother." Queen Persephone sighed dramatically. "Can we please not talk about that woman in my presence?" "I'm sorry, Dove," Hades said. "I had to promise the boy something." The older lady harumphed. "I warned you, daughter. This scoundrel Hades is no good. You could have married the god of doctors or the god of lawyers, but no! You had to eat the pomegranate." "Mother!" "And get stuck in the other world." "Mother, please!" And here it is August, and you do come home like you're supposed to. Do you ever think about your poor lonely mother?